Jim. Today we're talking about citizenship, and we were just having a conversation off camera where you said the word, the four-letter word slow,
Slow, yes.
and that's how things are going.
Well, there's been a dramatic change in the whole processing of citizenship applications over the past 2 or 3 years. Immigration or I should say citizenship is woken up to the fact that there's an awful lot of fraud and misrepresentation in citizenship applications. People not complying, people filing false documentation to support their applications, and as a result, the good cases are getting caught up with the bad cases. The law says you have to have 1,095 days in the preceding in the 4 years preceding the date of your application. 495 days of physical presence in Canada. Well, there has been an awful lot of controversy in the paper over the last 2 years where the minister is planning on rescinding 18,000 citizenships planning on rescinding the citizenship status of about 18,000 people.
Okay.
And they're slowly working through that list. But in the meantime, we now have a situation where people who legitimately apply, and if there's one little mistake in the application, if there's a question that has to be asked, people are going into what I call citizenship purgatory. You're neither fish nor fowl. You're caught in no man's land. To the extent that it's taking 3 to 4 years to examine applications for people applying for citizenship. I could relate stories of individuals who neglected to mention that they went down to the United States for a holiday, and somehow it popped up in the processing of the application, and that may be considered to be a fraud or a misrepresentation. It's to the extent now where we are very, very cautious when we're preparing applications, and we check and double check and look for secondary evidence that people have been residing in Canada. I could tell you the story of a woman from a country who every year went back to her home country for New Year's. It was Chinese New Year's. Went back for 30 days, applied for citizenship, and the judge asked her, "Show me proof that you've been in Canada." Well, she didn't work. She was retired. I spent an agonizing hour with her, asking her, "Do you have any traffic tickets? Do you have any speeding tickets?" Because it's things that you...
Anything to prove she was in the country,
yeah.
basically.
Do you go to a doctor? No, I go to a Chinese medicine specialist. No OHIP records. And I said to her, "Where do you live?" She lives in a condo. I said, "How old is the condo?" "Condo's 5 years old." And I said sheepishly, "How do you get in and out of your condo?" "Oh, I have a pass card." "Oh." Click, click, click. And I said, "Go to the superintendent of your building and see if you can give a record of every time you went in and out of that building." She came back with a stack of paper about 4 inches thick. I went through it, looked at her absences. There were only 4 absences. Chinese New Year, bang. We put together a submission for the citizenship judge and said, "Here it is." And she went and saw the citizenship judge, and it was sort of... she was approved, but but the real, I guess the thing is, or the point I'm trying to make is you really have to think sideways when you're talking about citizenship these days. Proof. What is acceptable proof that you have been physically in Canada? Do you have a medical history? Because you can only have a medical history in OHIP if you've been in Canada. Prescriptions, parking tickets, anything like that. So you have to show that you have been in Canada.
Now, it can work in the reverse, right? You told me the story about a guy with the 1,095 days. You told me the story about somebody who messed up the math. It was 1,094 days. What was the issue there?
Well, he miscounted.
And by 1 day.
1 day, and the law says 1,095 days in the 4 years preceding the application. He had 1,094 days. He doesn't technically qualify. and the application was prepared by somebody who wasn't very, I guess he was arithmetically challenged. And the end result is that our advice to him is withdraw the application and file a new one, because now he's got the days. The other instances that we're running into are people who legitimately have to travel outside of Canada on a regular basis, normally to the United States, and they can never accumulate the 1,095 days. And there are provisions in the in the Citizenship Act to allow for an alternative means of establishing that you are a Canadian resident. We've had a number of people who, particularly in the high-tech or IT fields, who travel to the United States on a regular basis on behalf of their clients. And so as a result, if you look at their 4-year period, they may have 700 or 800 days only. They can never achieve the 1,095 days because they're always traveling, but they're traveling at the behest of their employer. The employer pays the transportation. They stay in hotels. I had one client who managed to do 800 days, but you look at his establishment in Canada. He has a condo. He has he has a
how far do you want to go with this?
A partner, and enjoys life in Canada. Fortunately, the judge saw that he was well established in Canada, and except for the fact that he didn't have enough days, he should become a Canadian citizen. So but you have to assert those cases. You have to document those cases. You have to be prepared to defend your claim.
So bottom line is you have to have your ducks in a row. Like this,
you have
no
to have
joke.
your ducks in a row, and you have to show that you have. One of the examples is, has this person really rubbed shoulders with Canadians? And and judges are very I don't know the word. They're very circumspect about dealing with people who don't have enough days. And you've got to remember that if a judge makes a decision and the ministry does not like it, it can be challenged in the federal court.
Wow. Okay.
And it's happening. And it is happening.
Well, I guess, it's not like trying to get concert tickets. You're trying to become a Canadian citizen.
That's right. Yes.
So
yes.
Take
Definitely.
it seriously.
Definitely. So they've made some changes in the language requirements. They've made the testing a little bit more rigorous. And so it's, you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool them all the time.
And even if you do, now they're going back and taking a look.
That's right. And be very careful of people who promise you that I can get you citizenship. You don't even have to live in Canada. There are some reported federal court cases. There was one in Montreal called Zamzam v. the Minister of Citizenship and Immigration, where I can't remember the exact numbers, but right now citizenship is able to look for incidences of the same address used by different applicants. So they say, show me all the files that have gone through 123 Smith Street as an address, and they'll come up with a list. What about the telephone numbers people are using? So there's addresses of convenience, telephone numbers of convenience, and it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's organized crime on the government.
Yeah.
And these people are being caught.
Well, that's good.
Yes, I think so. I'm a proud Canadian, and I think that we should be very circumspect about who we grant citizenship to.
Yeah, and lost in all of this are the people that do follow the rules. They're the ones that suffer.
And they are the ones
they're the back of the line.
That's exactly right.
Okay. So I guess we'll end off with maybe your contact details. People get a hold of you if they have any citizenship problems.
Certainly. My email address is James Metcalf at pacelawfirm.com. Check us out on the web at pacelawfirm.com.
You can go pacelawfirm.com to get there, or paceimmigration.com directly as well.
We're very, very open to new clients, to offer people advice and assistance on citizenship applications. It's not exactly brain surgery, but it does require a little bit of hard work sometimes.
And a little bit of math. Don't get that 1095 wrong.
Yeah, 1,095 days is 1,095 days. We always tell people, if you're right on the cusp of 1,095 days, wait another 20 days and add it on. It doesn't hurt. 20 days is not going to make a difference in the processing of your application. And you must be in Canada when you make your application for citizenship.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Jim. We'll talk to you again very soon. Everyone else, once again, paceimmigration.com. Bye-bye.